design and social impact. Remote collaboration, virtual tools. So you have increased lines on digital tools for remote teamwork and virtual prototyping. Then emphasis on emotional design also. It focuses on creating emotionally resonant and meaningful user experiences. Then finally, the lean and agile methodologies. What are the predictions for design thinking's role in the future startups? Core strategy component. So design thinking can be an integral part of startup strategy. Then enhanced focus on creating exceptional user experiences to stand out in competitive markets. Then you can form alliances or partnership with the external experts. Finally, the data-driven decision making, greater reliance on data analytics for informed decision making. Then the resilience and adaptability, which is the key, emphasizing flexible and resilient design solution. You can invest in technology, then you can cultivate a culture of continuous learning in the organization, building a diverse and inclusive teams from different departments, then focus on sustainable and ethical practices by integrating sustainability principles. Finally, looking at the conclusion, we see that developing resilience and flexibility is the key. The future of design thinking in startups is mainly marked by an increased emphasis on technologies, sustainability, emotional design, and collaborative system. So by understanding and preparing for these emerging trends, startups can leverage design thinking not only as a tool, but for product development as a cornerstone of their strategic operational efforts. With this, we end our fifth session. So we will directly jump into the next session for today, which is prototyping and lean startup. So in this session, we'll discuss about the experimenting with prototypes and what are the best practices of prototyping. Then the lean startup principle, which is build, measure, learn. Then embracing failures and pivots for learning. And finally, the minimum viable product and significance and customer feedback and validation process. First is prototyping. So as we discussed, especially in the context of startups, prototyping has emerged as a cornerstone of innovation and strategic product development. So in the fast-paced and unpredictable world of startups, the ability to rapidly develop and refine ideas through prototyping must just not just a technical advance, but a fundamental necessity, right? So it's more than just a step in the product development process. It represents a mind shift towards agility, experimentation, and scientific design. So it allows startups to navigate the complexities of bringing a new product to market with greater adaptability. What is prototyping now? It's the iterative process of creating an early model of a product or service, which is intended to test and validate the core concepts before full-scale development, right? So this is instrumental in allowing startups to explore, experiment, and evolve their ideas in a practical, cost-effective manner. Why is it important? Firstly, it facilitates early feedback from potential customers, which enables startups to align their products more closely with the needs of them. Early feedback is crucial for startups to understand if their product or service is meeting the needs of the target market. By collecting feedback, startups can gain valuable insights into what customers like, dislike, and what improvements they would like to see. After that, it also serves as a tool for communicating ideas and vision to stakeholders, which includes investors, partners, and team members. It allows founders to showcase their concepts in a tangible way, which makes it easier for stakeholders, which are investor partners, to see the potential of the startup. So this can help in attracting investment, forming partnerships, and aligning team members towards a common goal. And lastly, it fosters a culture of innovation and agility within the organization, which helps in encouraging creative problem solving and continuous improvement. It also provides a platform for team members to experiment with new ideas and concepts. So by encouraging creative problem solving, prototyping helps startups stay agile and responsive to the market feedback. It also helps them to quickly adapt their product services based on the real world data, improving the chances for success in a competitive environment. Now let's compare this prototyping with traditional product development models. So traditional product development models, they are mainly employed in larger organizations, are characterized by linear sequential approach. So they encompasses stages such as concept development, design, testing, and launch. These models are also known as waterfall approach, which assumes each phase is completed before the next phase begins. Places a heavily emphasis on upfront planning and design. Whereas prototyping, which is embraced by startups, is inherently iterative. It revolves around creating a basic version of the product, testing it, learning from the feedback, and then refining the product. And this cycle is repeated until a satisfactory level of product market fit is achieved. So, unlike traditional model, prototyping ensures that customer input is integrated from the earliest stages, and this approach reduces the time and resources spent on developing features of product that the market needs. So in traditional models tend to identify and prioritize risk during specific phases, but in prototyping, iterative nature of prototyping allows startups to identify and mitigate risk continuously, making it easier to adapt and pivot as necessary. And traditional model, the resource allocation is heavily front-loaded with significant investment made in the initial stages. And whereas in prototyping, it allows for more flexible and adaptive allocation of resources with investment scaling up as the product concept is very redefined. So in conclusion, we can say that prototyping approach offers a dynamic and efficient way to develop new products, which is contrasting with traditional more rigid development models. So this agility is particularly crucial in the fast-paced, uncertain environment in which startups operate. Now, these are the approaches, the features of prototyping in startups and traditional product. This is a comparison between prototyping and traditional product development models. Time to market, resource allocation, adaptability. Now let's see experimenting with prototypes. What are the best practices? Designing effective prototypes. So the primary objective of prototype to test the hypothesis about the product functionality, design, and market demand with the minimal investment. So therefore, effective prototypes should be focused, simple, and aligned with the core value proposition of the product. Key principle for designing effective prototype include focus on key features such as the minimal features, which includes the functionality, user interface design, the performance. And then the iterative design, which means feedback analysis, prototype refinement, testing again and again. Then user-centric design, which includes user research, user personas, empathy mapping. Then the simplicity and clarity, which means minimalist design should be there, consistent design language should be there, and responsive design should be there. What are the methods for rapid prototyping? Paper prototyping, which involves creating hand-drawn version of a product, which is useful for early stage testing of concept. Then digital mock-up, In this, utilize software tools to create digital versions of a product. Than 3D printing for physical products. 3D printing offers a fast and cost-effective way to create tangible prototype. Then software simulators. And how can you balance cost, time, and quality in prototyping? This we discussed in the last session also. So how can you do this to save cost? You can select cost-effective prototyping methods and materials, and to save time, you can do it through efficient planning using time-saving tools and techniques, and to improve quality. So it should not be compromised to the point where it fails to accurately test the product's key features. So what are these strategies for balancing cost, time, and quality? The agile methodology, then lean resource allocation, user feedback integration, iterative testing, modular design. What is the summary? You can say that experimenting with prototypes in a startup context require a careful blend of creative strategic planning. Best practices in designing effective prototype emphasizes a focus on key features, iterative design, user centricity, and employing a rapid prototype method such as paper prototyping, digital mockup, 3D printing can accelerate the development process. But maintaining a balance between cost, time, quality is crucial for success in the prototyping phase. Now, what is lean startup? Let's understand that. Build, vision, and learn. So, in central to this methodology is the build, measure, learn feedback loop, which advocates for the creation of minimum viable products, measuring their impact on the real world, and learning from these outcomes. So this section will explore each of these stages and providing crucial insights. Now, what is the overview of Lean Startup approach? It's pioneered by Eric Ries. Uh, so this is grounded in the principles of lean manufacturing, adapted in the context of startup companies in the development of new product services. It emphasizes the importance of agility, rapid iteration, customer feedback in developing products. Now, detailed analysis of the build, vision, feedback. The first step involves building a minimum viable product, which is the simplest version of the product that allows startups to start the learning process as quickly as possible. So the MVP focuses on the core hypothesis of the product's value proposition. After that, you measure. Once the MVP is formulated, the next step is to measure its performance in the market. This can be done through collecting data about how customer using the product, their engagement level. So this is the key to establish metrics that are actionable and informative. After that, you learn. First, to build, measure, then the last step is to learn from the data collected. So this can involve analyzing the data to understand whether the initial hypothesis about the product and its value proposition were correct or not. If these hypotheses are validated, the startups proceeds with further development. If not, they change their strategies and make a fundamental change to the product based on what has been learned. So detailed analysis of the build, measure, learn feedback loop. So key to market is time to market, development cost in build, in the measure stage, customer engagement, conversion rate is there, in learn feedback quality, hypothesis validation is there. It offers a structured yet flexible framework for startup innovation, enables startups to adapt quickly to changing market conditions and customer needs. So it's essentially beneficial in today's fast-paced and competitive business environment. So summary is lean startup principle of build, measure, learn from a strategic framework that empowers startups to navigate the uncertainties of launching new products. By embracing this iterative process, startups can enhance their chances of success, making informed decisions based on actual market data. So this methodology not only accelerates the product development cycle, but also aligns closely with the dynamic and iterative nature of the startup. Now let's see How to embrace failures and pivots for learning. So now let's understand the role of failures in startup innovation. Feedback mechanisms. So failures act as a feedback mechanisms which offers clear signals about what does not work. So thus it helps in guiding startups towards more viable paths. It acts as learning opportunity. It fosters resilience, which in the form of experiencing failures builds resilience within the startup team. Then validating assumptions. Failure helps in validating assumptions, which is essential for refining business models and strategies. What are these strategies for effective pivoting? Of course, the first is data-driven decision making, then the customer feedback, flexible business model, and timely execution of these strategies. So you can see some of the examples of effective pivot strategies. Slack is one of the startups. Original idea was in online gaming, then it pivoted to communication platform. Then Groupon, it was originally constituted to as a social activism platform and converted to e-commerce marketplace. Then Instagram, it was check-in app, but converted to photo sharing application. Now let's see the real examples, the real world. So Twitter was started as audio, but when iTunes began to taking over the podcast, the company pivoted to a microblogging platform. Then same is the case of Airbnb. So the founders learned from their early failures, they redefined their approach through professional photography, etc., which leads to their success. Then the case of Nintendo, which started as a company which produced handmade playing cards and went on to numerous unsuccessful ventures, and finally they entered in video game segment. So what is the summary? Embracing failures and effectively pivoting a critical aspect of learning and growth in the startup world. This understanding the role of failure is very important for innovation and for the success of the startup. So this will not minimizes the risk associated with startups ventures, but also inspires the opportunities for startups. What is minimum viable products? We have already discussed about it. It's the foundational concept in the lean startup methodology, which is serving as a strategy for swift product development and market testing. If the simplest version of a product that a startup can launch with enough features to satisfy early adopters, and what are the concept and characteristics of an MVP? Sufficient feature set, which includes only the core features that solve a specific problem or fulfill a basic need. They focus on core value proposition, the rapid development, designed to be developed quickly to test hypotheses, then adaptability. They have the flexibility to evolve based on user feedback. Then feedback mechanism is there. It provides a means to gather user feedback, which is crucial for integrating feedback. The market research and hypothesis formulation, identifying core features, designing the MVP, developing the MVP, then launching the MVP. After that, you gather and analyze the feedback and various informations. Then you take actions according to the feedback. It's called iterating based on the feedback. Then summary is we can say that MVP is a crucial element in the lean startup approach, which enables startups to quickly launch a product to test market assumptions with minimal risk. The process of developing an MVP is iterative and requires continuous learning and adaptation based on user feedback. And by focusing on the core features and value propositions, startups can effectively use an MVP to validate their product concept and define their offerings. So this will not only save time and resources, but also significantly increases the chance of developing a product that resonates with the user needs. Now, customer feedback and validation process. What are the techniques available for customer feedback? We know that surveys and questionnaires, users testing sessions. When you invite users to test the product and provide feedback on them, then you conduct one-on-one interviews with the customers to understand their in-depth understanding. And feedback forms and websites on different apps and social media platforms. Then the analytical tools like Google Analytics are there. In segmentation of feedback, you categorize the feedback based on different customer segments and product features. Then you identify trends and patterns in those feedbacks. Then you prioritize the feedback. Not every feedback is meant to be incorporated in the product. Then you develop actionable insights on which you can take actions. Then communicating the change to customers. You have to inform customers about how their feedback is integrated into the product. Now to validate product market fit, you measure user engagement, you track various metrics such as user frequency, session durations, retention rates, etc. And customer satisfaction metrics, you use tools like Net Promoter Scores, etc. The market analysis, continuously monitor market trends and competitor strategies to ensure that the market remains relevant and competitive. And iterative improvement, you use feedback to make iterative improvements to the product. Then scaling strategies are there. Once the product market fit is validated, you develop strategies to scale the product. Now, in a nutshell, we can say that customer feedback and validation processes are crucial for startups to align their products to market needs and expectations. These effective techniques for gathering feedback can be combined with thorough analysis and actionable insights. They will enable startups to continuously improve their products and with their product market fit. So this is an ongoing process of validation and iteration is key to achieving long-term success in the competitive startup landscape. With this, we come to an end of our sixth session. Since the timing is running, we have to finish this session as early as possible. We are left with few minutes. Now we'll see financing the startups. What are the various modes available to finance the startups? So this will be the agenda for today. We will explore various financing options and the role of angel investor and venture capitalist, the debt financing, equity financing, government grants, etc. Now let's start with uh, some part left from the last sessions. So we'll understand the iterative development. So what are the principles of iterative development? It's a core principle in startup management which emphasizes the importance of continuous refinement and evolution of a product service. So the key principles are incremental process. You break down the development process into smaller manageable segments that can be tracked immediately. Right? The flexibility and adaptability is the key to the iterative development. It's a customer-centric approach. What are the principles? So regular evaluation and reflection on that, and you manage the risks. Now, how to implement continuous improvement cycles. So the steps to implement that is to plan, you define objectives, develop hypothesis, and plan the actions required to test the hypothesis. Then you execute these plans. After that, you evaluate the data to assess what worked and what didn't. Then you revise your plan. After that, you repeat it again. So what are the metrics and KPIs for tracking progress? So product usage metrics such as session duration, frequency of use, etc. Customer feedback mechanism is there, net promoter score. Development metrics like release frequency, bug count, and sprint velocity. Business performance metrics includes revenue growth, customer acquisition cost, and customer lifetime value. The innovation metrics include measures of new features added or the percentage of revenue from new products. So what are the metrics and KPIs? So this is there. You can see that in summary, you can say metrics and KPIs play a critical role in this process, which provides the data needed to make informed decision, track progress effectively. And by embracing these principles, startups can enhance their ability to innovate, adapt, and ultimately succeed in the competitive business landscape. Now, to scale up from prototype to full product development, we'll see what are the challenges in this. So transitioning from prototype to full scale development presents a number of challenges, which are technical challenges. It exposes limitations in the prototype's design and methodology. These limitations might include issues with the scalability of the data, code base, integration challenges, etc. Then the mere market challenges are there. So market receptions of a full-scale product can differ significantly from the prototype. Startups might encounter unforeseen demands, increased competition, or changes market trends. Then there are organizational challenges. As startups grow, the need for more structured processes, roles, and communications becomes evident. So this can hamper resources and impact the startup agility and culture. And there are various strategies available for efficient scaling, such as iterative improvement. You continuously iterate on the product based on customer feedback and market data. Infrastructure scalability, you invest in scalable infrastructure that can grow with the product. Then market adaptation is there. You stay agile to the market changes and be ready to adapt the product strategy accordingly. Then you expand your team and develop it based on the skills required in today's market. Then the process optimization is there. Then how can you manage growth and operational complexity at the same time? By balancing innovation stability, by managing resources efficiently, by customer support and engagement, through data-driven decision making, and managing risk appropriately. So in summary, so scaling a prototype in a full-scale product development is a multifaceted challenge which requires strategic planning and executions, and they can navigate technical, market, and organization challenges while maintaining their innovative sprint spirit and customer focus. So this is a critical phase in the startup life cycle as it sets the foundation for long-term success and sustainable in the market. Now let's see what are the legal and ethical considerations in prototyping. So the patents which we talk about, they give patent holder exclusive right to use, manufacture, and sell the invention. Trademarks are there which protect symbol, names, slogans used to identify products. Copyrights which are not typically associated with prototypes. They can protect original works of authorship. Then there are trade secrets. What are the ethical issues? Transparency is one of the key challenge. Then these are data protection, informed consent, and what are the regulatory compliance in product development? There can be industry-specific regulatory compliance in the pharmaceutical industry, for example. Then the safety standards are there. You have to ensure that the prototype and final product meet relevant safety standards. Then environmental regulations are there. You have to comply with environmental regulations. And this is a summary. The legal and ethical considerations are very integral to the prototyping process. You have to take care of these challenges appropriately by following these strategies. Now let's see. Now let's understand start the actual session of today class, how to finance the startup and what are the challenges in financing a startup. So obviously there are limited resources and high risk involved. So startups typically begin with limited resources and their unproven business models carry high risks. So this combination makes accessing traditional financing sources very challenging. So lenders and investors often seek the proof of viable product or service and a clear path to profitability. So the first challenge is to understand the appropriate amount of funding, calculate the right amount of capital to raise, and then if insufficient funds can lead to cash flow crisis. And at the same time, excessive funding might result in unnecessary dilution of equity, increased debt burden. Then the valuation challenges are there. So establishing a fair and realistic valuation is complex due to the lack of historical financial data. So this can lead to conflicts with investors and difficulties in equity-based financing. How can you navigate the funding landscape? There are plethora of funding options available, from angel investors to venture capitalists. Crowdfunding and government grants can be overwhelming. Each option carries its own set of risks and advantages and various requirements, which makes the decision process intricate for entrepreneurs. What are the opportunities in startup financing? So there are innovative financial models available beyond the traditional equity and debt financing models. For example, crowdfunding and revenue-based financing, which are getting traction. So networking and strategic partnerships can be formed apart from the funding. Government support is there, which the government offers grants, incentives, and supportive regulations to foster entrepreneurship. And it also helps in validation credibility. If you secure funding, especially from reputed investors, can be a powerful validation of the startup's business model. Right now, the understanding these challenges are opportunities the only first steps, but entrepreneurs must navigate this landscape, aligning their financial strategy with their business goals. This also requires a keen understanding of the nuances of each financing option. So now let's see what are the various finance options available. Loans are there, so they represent a traditional form of uh, financing, which is typically offered by banks and other financial institutions. Their advantages is they do not dilute ownership and control. They are good option for entrepreneurs looking to retain full control of their business, but they require regular payments, which can hamper the cash flow of a young startup. Also, the requirement for collateral and credit history can be prohibitive. So loans are not very easy for early startups, but they are best suited for startups with steady revenue streams and the capacity to meet repayment schedules. Then the equity option is available, which involves raising capital by selling shares of the company. But this can be achieved through angel investors and venture capitalists or from family and friends. Advantages can be it does not require repayment and elevate financial pressure in the early stages of the business. Investors also brings valuable expertise and networks. Limitations can be entrepreneurs have to give up a portion of ownership and control, and the valuation negotiations can be complex. It's suitable for startups with high growth potential that needs substantial capital and expertise to scale. Then the other option is crowdfunding. It's a way to raise funds by soliciting small amounts of money from a large number of people, especially by online platforms. Its advantage can be it's a way to validate the product in the market, build a community of supporters, and does not typically require giving up equity or taking on debt. But the limitations can be its success depend on the ability to run a compelling campaign and may not be suitable for raising large amounts of capital. It's suitable for consumer-focused products or businesses with a compelling story or social angle. What are the government grants available? There are a number of government grants and funding programs to support innovation and entrepreneurship. And these are usually non-repayable. So advantages can be no equity dilution or repayment requirement. Limitations can be application process can be competitive and time consuming, and it's suitable for startups involved in research and development or social enterprise or businesses in sectors prioritized by the government. So this is the summary. When you are exploring various financial options, it's important for entrepreneurs to consider not only the immediate need but also the long-term implication for their businesses. And also startups must blend different sources of fundings as they evolve, starting with the bootstrapping or friends and family, moving to angel investors or venture capital, and also exploring debt financing as they mature and stabilize. So in conclusion, understanding and carefully selecting the appropriate financing option is a fundamental aspect of strategic management of startups. You have to take care of financing options very smartly. Then let's look at self-financing versus external financing. Self-financing, which means bootstrapping. Advantages are full control and ownership. Bootstrapping is nothing but financing by yourself, by your own money, saving, especially in the early phase of the startup. The advantage can be you do not have to share the control and ownership with someone else. It's very flexible and independent. You are the only one to take the decision of the of your company, and you avoid debt and dilution. Disadvantage can be there will be a limited resources and the risk will be high as you are the sole bearer of risk. Then expansion will be slow as you have limited resources. Then external financing option is there. You will have access to larger capital, expertise and networking and risk sharing. But disadvantage can be in the form of loss of control and ownership, pressure and expectations from externals, and it's time consuming process. Now let's see strategic decision making in financing. Deciding between self-financing and external financing, startups must consider their industry dynamics, growth potential, risk tolerance, etc. But in the case of businesses in more stable markets or those prioritize gradual organic growth, they find self-financing more suitable. Similarly, strategic approach to financing may involve combination of both methods over different stage of the startup life cycle, which often yields the best results for suitable growth and success. Now, let's see the role of angel investors and venture capitalists in startups. They play a very important role in startup ecosystem. Their financial backing, mentoring, and network connections can influence the trajectory of a startup's growth. Now, in this section, we will see various dimensions of angel investors and venture capitalists. So these are angel investors are high net worth individuals who provide capital for startups, especially in exchange for convertible debt or ownership equity. They typically come in during the early stages of the startup life cycle. These are their operations. They usually invest their own funds, like unlike the venture capitalists. This is their selection criteria. They have unique criteria. Common factors include the potential for high returns, credibility, and passion for the founding team, etc. Then their impact on startup can be beyond capital. They can provide valuable industries expertise, mentorship, networking opportunities, etc. Similarly, the case of venture capitalists, they are professional groups that invest institutional funds in startups. Typically, at the later stages, their operations they raise funds from limited partners such as pension fund corporations, etc. Their selection criteria is they typically look for startups with a strong management team, large potential for market, a unique product or service with a sustainable competitive advantage. Their impact on startup can be in the form of they look for accelerating a startup's growth, allowing for aggressive scaling, extensive R&D, and rapid market expansion. Now, in comparison between these two, you can see that stage of investment. The investors come at early stages, venture capitalists at later stages, size of investment, smaller investor, it's large at venture capitalists. Similarly, the other things. So you can see that crafting a compelling pitches, having a clear business plan, demonstrating a deep understanding of the market are essential for budding entrepreneurs to raise fund. Now, in conclusion, we can say that angel investor means capitalists significantly shape the startup landscape. Their roles extend beyond funding. They are often the key drivers in the growth and scalability. Now, let's see what is the debt financing and understanding the risk and rewards. Debt financing is nothing but the taking debt from others, and in exchange of that, you pay interest. So these are the what criteria for bank loans. Startup must apply for loans through banks or other financial instruments. These are the advantages. These are non-dilutive tax benefits. Predictable payments, risk can be repayable obligation, collateral requirements, credit score impact, implications for startups, health can be cash flow management, growth versus debt financing. Need to Startups need to balance these both. Then financial leverage, that can increase the funds available to both. It also increases financial risks. Equity financing, in which you raise funds in exchange of shares. And what are the valuation methods available? Comparable methods. You compare a company with the similar company in the industry, then discounted cash flows. Then the cost to duplicate. This approach estimates the cost to build another company identical to the startup, which considers costs like R&D, asset acquisition, product development, etc. Then Burkus method is there. Equity dilution occurs when a company issues new shares, reducing the ownership percentage of the existing shareholders. You do capital raise and dilution. Then impact on control affected. Employee stock options are there. Then where there are various grants and incentives for startups. This can be in the form of direct grants, tax incentives, subsidized loans, and loans guarantees. Government also provides help to the incubation centers and accelerator programs. Then matching funds are there. What are the strategic benefits and considerations? Risk mitigations, credibility boost if you are successful in getting government grants, and focus on innovation and growth, and compliance and reporting, and networking and exposure would be there. And what are the strategic partnerships and corporate venturing? They have emerged as vital elements in the financing and growth landscape for startups. In this section, we'll understand what are the strategic partnerships. So these are very mutually beneficial alliance between a startup and another entity, which is usually a larger corporation or another startup. So these have financial benefits. They can provide direct financial investment or in-kind contributions such as resources. Then market access and brand credibility and operational synergies. Then corporate venturing is nothing but the investment of corporate funds directly in external startup companies. This is often a part of broader strategy to provide access to technology or enter new markets. Then corporate venture capital is there. They have venture capital division that invest in startups, and strategic objectives are there. Unlike traditional VCs, corporate investor may prioritize strategic alignment, potential for long-term partnerships. Then resource sharing and mentorship is there. With this, we complete this session. Now we just direct move on to the uh, next session, which is scaling the startup, right? So in this session, we'll understand how to scale a startup right from the ideation to the mass scale. So the journey of startup from inception to becoming a sustainable growth-oriented business is faced with challenges and opportunities, but the central to this journey is the process of scaling. It's a critical phase. What are the challenges there in this phase? Resource management. You have to manage your resources very efficiently, and we discussed the resource based view in this lecture during the session. Then maintaining the quality and culture as you grow, maintaining the culture and quality of the organization becomes difficult. Then the market adaptation, you have to adapt to the changes in the market and the operational complexity. Operations also increase. You have to adjust according to the increasing operations. You have to expand your team also. And opportunities are also there as you grow. So in terms of market expansion, so you get a new market, you can scale your operations to the new market, to tap into new markets. This unsolved matrix is there. So different strategies to expand your company are available in the unsolved matrix. And also opportunities in terms of economies of scale is there. Innovation and attraction of talent as you grow, investment and partnership opportunities also come up. And what is the importance of strategic scaling for long-term success? Long-term vision alignment, market relevance, resource optimization, risk management, building a scalable business model, stakeholder confidence. Now let's see the strategies for scaling up operations in prototypes. So the role of prototypes in scaling operations means market validation. You get validated in market through prototype, and it's an iterative development. You follow the iterative feedback process again and again. Cost management by experimenting with prototypes. You can identify potential for production challenges and cost implications early in the development cycle, which will help you in budgeting and resource allocation. Then the risk reductions by prototyping, you understand the risk in the earlier phase, you can implement strategies accordingly. Then the investor engagement, a well-developed prototype can be instrumental in attracting investors as it demonstrates the feasibility and market potential for the product service. Now, how can you transition from prototype to large-scale production efficiently? So through integrating the feedback which you have gathered from the customers, by scaling the design principles, and by employing the quality control systems, by managing your supply chain efficiently, by integrating the new age technologies quite smartly in the processes, and by expanding your team infrastructure efficiently. So now let's see how can you manage the need for continuous innovation. So balancing scaling and continuous innovation, these are often the two sides of the same coin, but finding the right balance between them is very crucial. So scaling involves increasing the size and reach of the business, means solidifying processes and structures. But on the other hand, innovation requires flexibility and experimentations. So sometimes level of disruptions also. So the resource allocation challenge is also there. Then the process rigidity as a startup grows. Then risk aversion as a company becomes big, it becomes more risk aversive. What are the strategies available to maintain the innovation during scaling? Dedicated innovation teams in the organization. Then innovation as a core value in the organization. Balancing resource allocation. How can you foster innovative culture while scaling? By encouraging experimentation throughout the organization, by formulating cross-functional collaborations among employees, and promoting continuous learning, and also through leadership support. So leadership should actively support and participate in innovation activities. Recognition and awards, you should implement a system that recognizes and rewards innovative ideas and contributions. And finally, we can say that uh, while scaling and innovation can be at odds, they are both essentially for the long-term success of a startup. So balancing these two elements requires strategic planning, commitment from leadership, and the implementation of a culture that supports and rewards innovation. So how can you develop a feedback loop for constant improvement? Let's see. What is the importance of feedback in the scaling process? It helps in developing product efficiently to meet the needs and expectation of the customers. It helps them provide a customer satisfaction, which is crucial for customer retention and loyalty, and market adaptation. It provides insights into market trends and changing customer preferences, which enables startups to adapt more effectively. Right. So the process optimization is there. Then internal feedback from employees can lead to improvements in operations and workflows, enhancing efficiency and productivity. Innovation feedback can be a source of new idea and innovation, leading to new product development or the improvement of existing offerings. What are the creative feedback mechanisms? So these are customer feedback channels. So multiple channel for customers to provide feedback such as surveys, feedback forms, social media, customer support, interaction, etc. Then employee feedback systems are there through internal systems, through surveys, suggestion box, open door policies, etc. Then in data analytics, you can utilize data analytics tools together, analyze feedback data. Feedback integration in decision making is very important aspect. Then regular review and taking suggestive actions. Then the transparent communication is the key. What are the financial strategies available for sustainable growth? Let's see. Financing options, venture capital, angel investor, we have already discussed. Crowdfunding is there. Then bank loan, government grants and subsidies, bootstrapping, budget management. So to balance financial growth and stability in scaling, it's important to manage your budget, and doing proper risk assessment is very crucial. And the sustainable growth rate, you have to calculate and understand this startup's SGR. This is the rate at which your company can grow without requiring additional financial investment. So what are the diversified revenue streams? You have to create multiple revenue streams to ensure stability, and this will also reduce the risk. Then the cash flow management, you have to plan your cash flows accordingly. Then formulating the clear exit strategy is very important. Then how to build and scale an agile organizational structure. It's one of the key challenges for scaling a startup. So how to design a scalable organizational framework? First, through modularity, by structuring the organization in a way that different functions or departments can operate semi-independently, but also remain cohesive together. And by applying flexibility in the organizational structure, they should be adaptable to changes in the business environment. Then defining clear roles and responsibilities, providing managers and team leaders with the authority to make decisions. Scalable communication channels. As your team grows, operations grows, you have to scale up the communication channels also. Then by integrating technology successfully. And finally, through cultural consistency, you have to preserve the core values and culture of the organization. And lastly, through leadership development, you have to invest in developing leaders within the organization who can manage larger teams. So what are the organizational framework transition stages? This is given in this early stages when 1 to 10 employees are there, then expansion stage, then scaling stage, then mature stage. How can you leverage technology and automation for scaling? What is the role of technology and automation in facilitating scaling? It helps in efficiency improvement, reduction in cost, scalability, data management analysis, enhanced customer experience, and risk management. What are the best practices for integrating technology into scaling? Needs assessment, scalable solutions, integration with existing systems, employee training, continuous evaluation, integration with existing systems, security and compliance. What are the strategic alliances and partnerships in scaling? We discussed what is the importance of this. It helps in sharing resources, in providing market access, in mitigating risks. It helps in promoting innovation in the organization. It strengthens your brand also. Finally, it provides operational efficiency. What are the guidelines for selecting and nurturing strategic alliances? There should be an alignment of goals and values between the two partners. Then there should be complementary strengths which everybody can share to benefit. Then there should be a proper due diligence prior to finalizing the partner. Then there should be a clear agreements between each party. And effective communication should be there. Mutual benefits should be there to ensure that partnership is mutually beneficial, and flexibility and adaptability should be there according to the needs of the environment. Then the regular evaluation of the alliances should be there. Now, how can you manage risk and uncertainties during scaling? First, to identify and mitigating risk. There are market risk, operational risks, which we have already discussed. Financial risk, operational risk, technology risk is there. Then building a flexible model. These are the strategies for navigating uncertainties in the scaling process. So you can build a flexible business model which allows for quick adaptation to changing circumstances. Then you do scenario planning. You prepare for various scenarios, including worst case scenarios and best scenarios. Then there should be a strong leadership and decision making. Effective leadership is crucial in uncertain times. It should be fostering a culture of agility, in which you encourage a company culture that values agility and adaptability. Then the regular evaluation should be there of any strategic alliance. Then now, how can you measure success and adjusting strategies after scaling? Let's see. So these are the metrics for evaluating success. The revenue growth, it is one of the most common measures. Uh, what is the revenue increase over time? Then the profit margins are there, assessing whether profit margins are improving or not. Then the regular evaluations, in which you monitor changes in customer acquisition cost, is important to ensure that the cost acquiring new customers is sustainable. Then the other metrics are customer retention rate. High customer retention rate indicates satisfaction, product market fit, which is critical for long-term success. Employee satisfaction and turnover rate is very crucial, especially in IT industry nowadays. Then the market share, gaining market share is a strong indicator of competitive positioning and brand strength. Then operational efficiency. So metrics such as operation, production cost, time to market, and process efficiencies reflect the effectiveness of operational strategies. Now, what are the approaches to define and adjust strategy based on performance indicators? Regular review of KPIs, data-driven decision making, and flexibility in strategy, and taking regular stakeholder feedback, continuous improvement, investing in areas of success is key, and finally addressing areas of concern. So with this, we come to an end of the eighth session. Now let's move on to the last session today, so which is key managerial issues in startup. So in this session, we will look at the key managerial issues in scale-ups. So let's see what are the challenges, complexities in scaling operations. Okay, as you grow, so your operations also becomes complex. Then the resource allocation and management is there. You have to allocate and manage your resources wisely. Then the organizational culture, any changes comes in, organizational becomes resistance to change. So when you are changing or maintaining the organizational culture becomes very challenging. Then the leadership and team dynamics are always there. The scaling startups often experience changes in team dynamics and leadership roles. Then the market adaptation, customer retention becomes challenging as you grow. Then navigating the regulatory environments, because the policy and the regulations are different for young companies and the established ones. So this is the summary of these 4 slides. Now, how can you address key managerial issues in scale-ups? Let's see. So by executing them, so as business scale, the need for robust strategic planning and execution becomes paramount. So the problem is given and the solution is given for that. Cash flow management by rigorous financial planning or monitoring are essential. This also involves securing additional funding, optimizing operational costs, etc. Now building a scalable organizational structure. So as startup scale, the initial flat and formal structures often become inadequate. You can carefully design an organizational structure that balances the need for control and flexibility. This can be the solution. Then the talent management is there. You have to develop a comprehensive talent management strategy, which includes robust recruitment process, employment development program, and strong emphasis on cultural integration. Maintaining customer focus is key. as and when you scale up. So continuous engagement with customer through feedback mechanism is very important. And adapting to the changes in the market in terms of technology, in terms of competition, environment, and investing in market research becomes the key. This is the summary to these 5 slides. So scaling a business requires a strategic and structured approach, and these ranges from internal organizational issues to external market dynamics. Now in the next session, we'll look at the leadership and management challenges. What are these? Let's see. Evolving leadership roles in today's environment. It is one of the main challenges. So leadership development program becomes the key in today's environment. And the decision making process, it becomes more complex as the organization grow. So establishing a structured decision making process is very crucial. This also involves setting up dedicated teams of committees. Then communication challenges are there. Hierarchy becomes long as the organization grows up. Then managing the cultural shift as the organization expands. Then balancing innovation with processes. And scaling the management team as the organization increases. Now let's see how to build and maintain a sustainable competitive advantage. So when we see innovation as a competitive advantage, continuous innovation is the key to maintain the competitive edge. The solution can be encouraging a culture of innovation through various policies and promote creative environment in the organization. Then leveraging technology, it can be a significant differentiator in today's world. So you have to keep yourself updated about the different technological advancements relevant to the industry. And then the brand building, focusing on building your brand is the key. We took the example of Tata in the class. Customer centricity is another core element of building and maintaining sustainable competitive advantage. Then forming strategic alliances with the partners having complementary strength is important. Then managing talent efficiently by providing them the training and career building opportunities is the key to competitive advantage. This is the summary of competitive advantage. It requires a multifaceted approach which includes continuing innovation, leveraging technology, strong brand building, customer centricity, and strategic partnerships. And these strategies must be agile and adaptable to changing market conditions and evolving customer needs. So by applying these frameworks and solutions, you can have a competitive advantage. Now, how can you navigate financial management and funding strategies? Let's see financial planning and budgeting. You have to plan and budget accordingly. Then the resource allocation is always there. Formulating the capital structure and what are the funding options. There should be a right mix of debt and equity funding. Then formulating plan for cash flow management and risk management and mitigation strategies. This is the summary for this. And how can you acquire talent and retain them and develop that talent? Let's see. First is talent acquisition. The challenge in talent acquisition for startups is not just in attracting candidates, but in attracting the right candidates who align with the startup's vision, culture, and growth. So solution can be you can develop a strong employer brand, uh, can become a strong employer brand, which can be essential. It involves communicating the startup's values, culture, and the opportunities for growth. And after that, how can you retain the talent? So retaining the top talent can be challenging for startups, especially in competitive job markets. So employees in startup always they look for more than just financial remuneration. They're looking for growth opportunities, supportive culture, etc. So creating a positive work environment which fosters employee engagement and satisfaction is key to this challenge. And how can you develop talent? So as a startup grow, the need for developing employees, skills and competencies becomes very crucial. So this not only supports the startup's growth but also helps in retaining employees by providing them with the benefits. So implementing structured training and development programs tailored to the startup's needs and employees' career aspirations. This can be one of the solutions to them. Then the performance management helps in aligning individual objectives with the startup's goals. And you can adopt a continuous performance management process that includes setting clear goals, regular feedback, and performance appraisals. Then there should be a cultural fit. The startup scale, maintaining the organizational culture becomes very challenging. So in this phase, you have to incorporate cultural fit assessments into the hiring process. This is the summary. So effective talent management involves a holistic approach which encompasses talent acquisition, retention, development, performance management, and ensuring cultural fit. By implementing these strategies, startups can build a strong, committed workforce that is aligned with their growth objectives. So now let's look at how to implement effective organizational structures and cultures. So first is organizational structure redesign. So this is a challenge to design an organizational culture that balances the need for control and coordination with the flexibility and innovation. So you can adopt a structure that aligns with the startup strategic goals and operational needs. This can involve moving from a flat to more hierarchical structure or adopting a matrix structure. Okay. Now cultural reinforcement is there. Maintaining and evolving the company culture to align with its changing dynamics is very essential. So you can clearly define and communicate the startup's core values and ensure they are integrated into all aspects of the business. Then balancing formality with flexibility. This is also one of the challenges. You have to implement necessary processes and policies without overburdening the organization. And leadership and management development challenges there. You have to invest in leadership development programs, mentoring and coaching for emerging leaders, and cross-functional collaboration across the departments. So in conclusion, we can say that as startups grow, rethinking the organizational structure and consciously shaping the company culture becomes vital. So the right structure and culture can drive efficiency, innovation, and engagement. And the model and tools discussed in this section will provide a framework for startups to effectively design their organization and culture. So now, how can you navigate market expansion and globalization? Let's see to market research and analysis through localization strategy. So this is a common mistake we startups make during expansion. Apply the same business model and strategies that worked in their original market. So localization is the key to success in new market. You have to adapt products or services to meet the local taste and the preferences and cultural nuances of the existing customers. This can involve changes in product features, marketing strategies, etc. So each country has its own set of regulatory and legal framework. So this is one of the key strategy to expand your market share. So understanding and complying with the laws and regulations of the local market, and the building local networks and partnerships in the country which you are operating in. This is one of the key strategies, defining common strategic alliances with local businesses, distributors, or suppliers. So it also comes with managing operational challenges. So for that, you can develop a robust operational plan that takes into account the logistics of new services, serving a new market. Then the cultural sensitivity and adaptation, in which the cultural differences can have a significant impact on business success. So misunderstanding or overlooking those cultural nuances can lead to misstep or local or lost opportunities. So what can be the solution? You can invest in cultural training for the team and seeking guidance from local experts. Understanding and respecting local customs, practices, and business etiquettes are very crucial in this. So with this, we come to the summary of this session. So we can say that navigating market expansion and globalization is a complex and challenging process for scaling startups. It requires a well-crafted strategy that includes thorough market research, localization, compliance with local regulations, building local networks, managing operation challenges, and cultural adaptation. By employing these strategies, tools, and approaches discussed in this section, startups can increase their chances of success in new markets and on a global stage. So with this, we come to the end of this session. And we did a comprehensive revision of whatever we have studied till now. I hope be able to understand the core concepts of this subject, uh, these sessions, and I'll share all the slides with you all. And in case if you have any doubt, you can directly mail me. The mail ID is given in this introduction slides. Okay. With this, we conclude and we'll stop sharing and we'll end this session here only. Goodbye. All the best for the exams.